Welcome to OLC 40. This is class 11 and we are working on unit 2. Here are the ways to reach me as always. Right now while I'm in the studio, 1-800-465-7144. If you want to reach me at the office to discuss homework, 1-800-667-3703. If you want to fax me your homework, 1-800-463-7852. You can also email me your homework at jillian.percy@nnecschools.org. If you want to re-listen to a recording, it is posted on YouTube, capital G, capital P, ERCY, space, capital W, AHSA. Okay, so grammar, we're discussing a little bit of grammar every day because there's a lot to cover in English, and I want to make sure we get it all before the test at the end of the year. Contractions. We were talking last week about using apostrophes to show possession with nouns, but we also use apostrophes to show that some letters are missing when we're creating contractions. When we talk, we often push two words together to create one word. Sometimes we drop a sound or two as we do this. For example, I have becomes I've. We use the apostrophe to show that the H and the A are missing from the written word, but also to kind of just remind us that they are supposed to be there. We use a lot of contractions in English, especially when we're talking. I'm going to go over some of the most common contractions. Sometimes when we don't use contractions in our writing or our speech, it can make our words sound a little bit stiff or a little bit formal. All right, so sometimes we put a pronoun like I or he with a verb. So I plus am becomes I'm, I and will, I'll, he and will, he'll. I wanted to kind of talk about this. Let me see if I can just kind of grab my, there. If I took that contraction out, it would just say hell. So even though it's the exact same letters as hell, we don't say it that way. We say the first part, the pronoun he, and then we add the ol, he'll, okay? So you have to be careful with how you pronounce it. You can't just look at the letters and kind of sound it out because you have to be aware of the original contraction. That's the other reason for that apostrophe, so that you're aware that the pronunciation is going to follow the original words, not what it may look like now. Like this looks like shell, but it's not. It's she plus will, so it's she'll. You plus will, you'll. We plus will, we'll. They plus will, they'll. It plus will, it'll. It plus is, it's. He plus is, he's. She plus is, she's. Who plus is, whose. I plus have, I've. You plus have, you've. You plus are, your. We plus are, we're. You plus are, there. And you can see too, here are some of the ones that they look so much like other words. Like it looks a lot like the word were, right? But we don't say it the same way and it doesn't mean the same thing. It's, right? It sounds is exactly the same as the word it's, but this one means it's possessing something. And this one is a short form for it is. So it can be a little bit tricky because there's some crossover, but you have to be kind of aware of those. This page was kind of interesting. I was talking with my partner and we realized if we were looking at I apostrophe D, we weren't sure, would it count as I would or would it count as I had? And what we realized was you're going to have to look at the context of the sentence because would is really talking about the future. Like, I would like to go to the concert tomorrow with you, or I would like to have chicken instead of beef for dinner tonight. But I had is past tense. I had beef last night. I had a date last night. That's why I couldn't come. So when you're looking at these, trying to figure out, is it a short form for would or had? Look at the sentence. Is the sentence talking about something in the future or is it talking about something in the past? So he plus would or he plus had both get shortened to he'd. She plus would or she plus had get shortened to she'd. They plus would or they plus had, they'd. You plus would or you plus had, you'd. we plus would or we plus had, we'd. And I put this down here, it plus would or it plus had, it'd. It's a awkward. I don't really think people use it very often, but it technically is a possibility. Okay, then a lot of times we use contractions. We'll use a verb with the word not. Okay, and sometimes the pronunciation changes a little bit. Like we don't say do, don't, we say don't. So it can change a little bit. Can plus not is can't. Will plus not, that's one of the ones that changes, ends up as won't. And I don't know why we don't say wilt. There's no rule that I know of. We just don't say it that way. Have plus not is haven't. Did plus not is didn't. Was plus not is wasn't. Were plus not is weren't. Had plus not hadn't. Would plus not is wouldn't. Could plus not is couldn't. Should plus not is shouldn't. And I wanted to talk about these three as well. These three words look almost the same. They sound almost the same. And sometimes people get them confusing. So we were talking about wouldn't. Wouldn't is, like we said, future, and it's often conditional, right? You're looking at two things. Would I want to do that? Maybe I would. Couldn't is kind of talking about can. Like, could I do this if I wanted to? Can I do it? And then shouldn't is talking about whether it's proper or whether it's right to do it. Like, should I go and take his book even though I didn't ask him? Or should I, call in sick for work even though I'm not really sick? So these means being similar. They're all kind of talking about possibilities, but they mean something slightly different, okay? Has plus not is hasn't, is plus not isn't, and are plus not is aren't. Now, sometimes we contract a word and then it sounds so similar that we get kind of confused as to what we were trying to say. So when we say he would have, it sounds almost like he would of, but that doesn't make any sense grammatically. It means he would have. So we got to write he would have, not he would of. She could have, same thing. It's not could have. I don't know why it says that, but anyways, okay, could have. It's could have. Okay. Same thing with it should have. It's not. Everything got messed up. I'm sorry. Someone played with my computer or something here. All right. Should have. It's should have. Okay. So you have to be aware. We don't say would have or could have. I mean, we say it, but it means the have, not the of. Okay. Oh, what happened? Oh. Huh. All right. Something disappeared there. Let me just see if I can grab it real quick. All right. I'm going to pop over to something really quick. Let me see if it's still screen sharing. Okay. I'm going to pop over because I wanted to grab something because I thought it was really interesting. There was a little video a guy had done about verbal contractions. And it was kind of neat because I hadn't thought about it, but he was talking about contractions that we say all the time, but we would never write them because they're not considered sort of legitimate contractions. Let me see if I can find him in here real quick. Watched. Let's see if I can get it. Well, I will go over kind of what it was. It was things like I'ma, meaning I am going to, or gimme, which really stands for give me, or wanna, which is like want to. And I thought it kind of important to say because those kind of contractions we say, but we're not really supposed to write them. And I know we do in like Facebook and messages and things like that, but we don't normally. So I'll try and grab that another day. Oh, hang on, there it is. One of my slides just moved. Apologize. Hang on. Sorry, these things do kind of flip around.
I'm gonna give him a call.
Pause him for a second. Make sure I've got this on. Do you want?
Gotta. I gotta go.
Before. Okay. Going to.
I don't want to do
gonna.
it.
Got
Let
to
me.
For gotta.
Let me tell you something.
Want to.
Give me.
For wanna.
Give me a minute.
Let me.
Outa.
For let me.
Get out of here.
Give me. For
Kinda.
me.
It's kind of boring.
For outa.
I'm
kind
gonna let
of
you
for
know.
kinda, and
Gonna.
I'm going
I'm
to
gonna
for
give him a
I'm a.
call.
And I wanted to
Gotta.
point that out because sometimes we use these so much, we kind of forget they aren't what's called standard English, right? Like you wouldn't write I'm a in an essay and then hand that in because it's really kind of a short form of a bunch of different words. It's not a proper contraction. So I wanted to talk about these because they're kind of like verbal contractions, but they're not ones we use in our writing. Okay. All right. Hang on. Just pull this over here. Okay. So yesterday we worked. Oh, wait, hang on a second. My apologies. And again, one more thing decided to move over. All right. So practicing with our contractions. Okay. So we've got don't, didn't, can't, won't, aren't, she'd, wasn't, haven't, and shouldn't. So mom said we something go on our own. And you can try different ones like she'd wouldn't work because we already have a pronoun right there. That wouldn't make any sense. Mom said we aren't go on our own. Mom said I could put won't. We won't go on our own. Although in this one, I think mom said we can't. The idea of mom kind of giving permission was there for me. Betty said that something go with us tonight. Well, Betty's talking and she's a girl, so I'm going to grab she would, right? Short for she would. Spinach is slimy, so I something want any for dinner. Yeah, don't, I would think. Don't. I am feeling sick, so I something be going to work. I won't be going to work. I'm trying to lose weight, so I something eat the cake. So again, we're talking about conditionals here. So that should pops up, right? I shouldn't eat the cake. I thought John would be there, but he wasn't, right? I don't like that teacher, so I something been going to class. Didn't been going to class doesn't make sense. Haven't been going to class will fit. Something you're going to eat any dinner? Aren't you going to eat any dinner? Or didn't you going to eat any dinner doesn't work, right? Aren't you going to eat any dinner? Why? Oh, why didn't you go? I'm not sure that happened there. Somehow that kind of squeezed its way back in there. Okay. Information paragraph. All right. So last week, I guess, we talked about skimming and scanning information and that we don't necessarily have to read every single word in an informational text. If you're reading a big book on concepts, you don't always have to read a bunch of things because normally you're trying to get some information from maybe one chapter from several different books. You don't need to read the entire thing. So today we're going to be trying to write a paragraph. And from what I can see, they don't just want an information paragraph. They really kind of want a how-to paragraph or what's called a procedural paragraph. For example, a topic might be how to start a campfire or how to clean a walleye or how to make bannock or how to change a tire on a truck. This is another piece that's going to go in your portfolio for the end of the year. So make sure you're using the writing process. Make sure you flip back through Unit 1 to refresh your memory on the writing process if you've forgotten. Okay, now. This is a funny little thing. They kind of, hang on a second. They sort of put a paragraph here. And it sounds like it's teaching you, but it's kind of also trying to be an example. So I thought that was a little confusing. So I'm going to read it here just as instructions. And then on the next page, we'll read it again and we'll read it there as an example. Okay. Just because I thought it was a bit confusing to do both at once. Writing an informational paragraph is easy to do if you follow these steps. The first thing you need to do is to decide on a topic and come up with 3 or 4 points that support the topic. Next, you need to write a topic sentence that introduces your topic to the reader. From there, you turn the 3 or so points that you have come up with on your topic into sentences that support the topic sentence. Finally, the last sentence in the information paragraph is a rewording of the topic sentence. All you need to do to finish your information paragraph is to revise if needed and then edit before writing the final copy. Following the above steps will help you write a perfect information paragraph. Okay. So, oh, sorry. This is one of those things where sometimes when I'm working in one program and it goes to another program, it doesn't quite hold the same formatting that I used. Okay. So here we're going to talk about this as an example, and then we're going to follow it basically. Okay. The first sentence in the bold, which is this dark color here, I'm going to highlight, I think, kind of as we go along. Here we go. That is called the topic sentence. It has the main idea. What's the main idea? How to write an information paragraph. And then the supporting ideas or details are all in this red. And you'll see that they use transition words, which we talk about a little bit later, right? The first thing, next, from there, and finally. Those are transition words or sequence words. And it kind of helps the flow of your paragraph if you have them at the beginning of a sentence. And then the last sentence down here is, sorry, it keeps wanting to scoop up that purple. All right, well, okay, it didn't do it. It's meant to be kind of a restatement of the initial sentence. It's not the exact same words. Sometimes people try and put the exact same words. It's the same idea though. Okay, here's another sample. This one's on how to play ping pong, so I think it's a little less confusing because it's so obviously not instructions at the same time. How to play ping pong. Playing ping pong is a fun and relaxing activity. Players stand at opposite ends of the table and are ready to hit the ball back and forth over the net at the center of the table. First, to begin a game, one player will serve the ball over the net towards the other player after hitting his or her side of the table first. The other player will then return the ball over the net, and they keep hitting it back and forth until the ball either hits into the net or goes off the table. A point will be given to the player not making a mistake after each serve, and players switch serving after 2 points. Finally, a game is won with either 11 or 21 points. Ping pong is an enjoyable activity for fun and relaxation and good for people of all ages. I'm going to point out I did not write this paragraph and I don't consider it a great example. I think there's some things that are confusing, and I also think there's some sentences there that are really run-on sentences. So we're gonna pretend this is somebody's rough copy, okay? Has to have at least 6 sentences. Totally fine to have more if you might need more to get across your point, okay? The rough copy is 10, and then you're going to give me a final copy, and that is 15. We've talked about this. There should be significant differences between your rough copy and your final copy. They should not look exactly the same except for like a word or two. If they are, the final copy is not going to get great marks because you didn't do your job about revising. Okay, so I want to kind of click on this. Hang on. This is like a little, oh, and I don't know why it's doing that. And see again. Let's see if it'll let me grab this or not. Apologies. It was all set up and it worked in my other one, but not quite here. Okay. Okay, so this is like a little how to
This is the
on
freedom
how
to bank with us anytime, anywhere.
This company sells trees, and they wanted to make sure people understood how to plant the trees. Okay, that's what
the
this
app
little
today.
video is about, but it's pretty simple. So I kind of thought it'd be a good one to talk about. Let me see if I got here.
Hi, thank you for your purchase. Here at the Planting Tree, we want you to be successful with your new tree. In this video, we will walk you through the steps planting your tree. Let's get started.
So yeah, I thought we got this sorted out. Okay, so I'm going to back up a second so I can kind of walk you through, because this one also does put the names up there. So planting a tree would be your title. how to plant a
Hi,
tree.
thank you for your purchase.
And
Here at the
then
planting tree, we want you to be successful
they're
with your
showing you
new
what
tree.
the final product's
In
going
this
to
video,
look
we
like.
will walk you through
A
the
lot of times
steps to
procedural
planting your
writing might
tree.
have instructions,
Let's get started.
right? It's not uncommon. And then it's going to list the materials you need.
Planting
This could be one
soil,
long sentence. You will need
shovel,
planting soil, a shovel,
mulch,
a watering hose,
and fertilizer.
There's one
As soon
sentence.
as your package arrives,
You need to unpack your tree
plants
immediately.
and water thoroughly.
You need to water it thoroughly. Next,
When you find a location for your plant, make a circular
you're going to need to
planting
make a
bed
circular
4
planting
times
bed
the size of your root
4
ball,
times
about
the
3
size
inches
of the
deep.
root ball
This planting
and
bed will
3
help keep
inches
your
deep.
tree free of weeds. In the center of the planting bed, dig a hole
Then
twice the size
dig
of
a
the root
hole
ball.
in the center of the bed 2 times the size of the root ball.
The depth of the hole
Put your
should be
plant
deep
in.
enough that the top of the root ball
The top
is
of the
slightly
root ball
higher
should be
than
2
the
inches
original
higher
grade
than
of
the
the
ground.
ground.
You want the
About
top
2
sticking
inches
out a little
higher.
bit. You don't want it covered.
Fill the hole with water.
Fill the hole
Do
up
not
with
use
water.
any hose attachments
Don't
or
use any
sprayers.
kind of shower or spray, just the plain water.
Backfill the hole
Backfill the
with
hole
dirt
with all
and
the
mix
existing
in the
dirt.
planting soil.
And mix in some of the nice
Now
planting
that
soil.
you have successfully planted
Then
your tree,
put some fertilizer
time
in
to
it. They're advertising
fertilize.
their fertilizer, but anyways,
Applying
it needs a little bit of fertilizer to the
will provide
tree.
your tree with
It's not very much.
nutrients
It's like
for
a
optimal
teaspoon or a
growth.
tablespoon per gallon
Measure
here.
2 teaspoons,
Yep, 2 teaspoons per
gallon
gallon.
size pot, or a teaspoon
Or 1
per
teaspoon
foot in
per
height.
foot. Okay.
Mix
It's just gonna make the
fertilizer
tree
into
grow.
top
Mix
1 to 3
fertilizer in
inches
the
of
top
soil.
1
Make
1
sure
to 3
water
inches of soil.
regularly and
Water
reapply
regular. I
every
gotta admit, I
6
wouldn't use my
months.
bare hands. Reapply every 6
You
months.
can finish up by mulching around your new
Mulch
tree.
the planting bed, so you
Extend the
spread all your
mulch
mulch
to the
out to
edge of
kind
the
of protect
planting
it.
bed you created. Planting tree offers
And
our
then
own
that's the
tree.
end. And I'm doing this because I wanted to say, like, it isn't just in writing that you see how-to stuff, right? If you play video games, you see how-to stuff all the time. So if we were going to write one, so I wanted to kind of practice writing one here. A second. There we go. Okay. And we would title this How to Plant a Tree. How to plant a tree. So first, remember the topic sentence. That's the part I'm about to forget. If you want to know how to plant a tree, follow these steps. Okay. First, unpack your tree immediately and water it well. My memory is that in the video, kind of have to leave it sitting overnight, but I don't remember. They didn't say that, so I'm just going to leave it for right now. Then you need to prepare the garden. Dig a hole 4 times the size of the root ball and 3 inches deep. Then in the middle, dig a hole 2 times the size of the root ball. I forget how deep it is. I do remember you need to leave 2 inches apart up top, right? So leave at least 2 inches of the root ball above the ground. Water it well, and then mix in the dirt and fancy soil. Afterwards, you can add in some fertilizer. Finally, you can cover it all up with mulch. Now, that is as far as they went, but we're writing a fancy literary paragraph, so we're going to need to have a concluding sentence. So our concluding sentence needs to kind of echo the opening sentence, right? I'm just gonna, you don't need to highlight it, by the way. It's just I'm doing that so that I know what I'm doing. So I want to get the idea of across saying. The idea would be planting the tree, following these steps. After, you see now, I already have after one. Once you have done all this work, your tree will be safely planted. Okay. So that's an example of how to do it based on what we were doing. Oh, and I already had them there. So it can be on anything that you know how to do, how to make a certain recipe, how to do a certain craft or art, how to fix some type of machine like a snowmobile or a car or whatever, how to do some sort of hobby, how to practice some sort of social skill, how to play a game, how to play a sport or do a particular move within a sport, like score a goal or do a 3-point basket or something like that. So the first thing before you even start this is, again, it's the brainstorming step, right? Think about what do you know how to do that you could write about. It is literally anything. So here's some of my examples. I know how to sew a skirt. I know how to draw a person. I'm good at making spaghetti. I say that because everyone was like, oh, we love your spaghetti. Teach someone how to read. I can teach people how to add, how to do a journal, be a good house guest. Some other examples might be creating color schemes, creating a schedule for primary grades, doing the laundry, teaching someone, oh, I got twice how to read. Oh, and some things got repeated several times. I apologize about that. Anyways, those are some of my examples. So, some of these things may seem really easy and like something anyone would know how to do, like the spaghetti thing, right? But there are people of all ages who don't know how to do all sorts of easy things and would appreciate hearing the steps to do them. So if you feel like making spaghetti is too easy, okay, fine. But what if you were teaching, say, your 12-year-old brother or sister how to make spaghetti, right? Or what if somebody was asking you, hey, how does your Guka make her bannock so good? And you might write it down for somebody. So we have a family story about a young man who lived upstairs from my grandparents. They rented the apartment out to him. And one day he came down to my grandmother and he was holding an egg in his hand and he said, I know there's food in here, but I have no idea how to cook it or how to get it out. And he was just distraught because he didn't know. No one had ever shown him. So my grandma had to show him how to cook an egg. So it was a super simple job for lots of people, but not for him. So don't worry if it seems too simple. Simple is fine. I'm really looking at your writing. I'm not looking at how hard or how complicated it is, okay? So take a moment and start your own list of things you know how to do. Here are some possibilities that you might know how to do. How to hunt for moose. That's not really that common all over the country. It might be common up here, but it's not everywhere. How to go fishing, how to fillet a fish, how to safely drive a motorboat. Anything that you know how to do is perfectly valid. So just take a few minutes, write down maybe 10 ideas of what you know how to do, and that way you've got some things to pick from, okay? Okay. After you've got that, come up with 3 or 4 points related to your topic, specific details that you would like to include in your paragraph. Then come up with your topic or your opening sentence. This can be very straightforward. It does not have to be fancy. You're just telling them what you're about to show them. That's all. Turn your 3 or 4 points into sentences and then write a sentence or more than one sentence for each point. For the concluding or the last sentence, simply rewrite your topic sentence using different words. Now, remember that you're handing in your rough copy for 10 points. So right there, at this point, you are going to hand that in to me. Then you're going to make another copy. Do all your revisions on the other copy, okay? Make sure there's one clean copy of the rough draft that I can read, okay? Go through your paragraph with a different colored pen or pencil to make revisions. Check your spelling, your use of capital letters, punctuation. That's the time where you might want to change any content or make your vocabulary more interesting. Then write or on your computer, do a final copy of your information paragraph. And this should be totally clean, okay? There are no more revisions. There's no spelling mistakes. There's no grammar mistakes. You're going to hand that copy in as well, and that is worth 15 marks. Okay, so altogether, this little assignment is just a paragraph, is worth 25 marks. Okay, so my topic is going to be how to make a gathered skirt. So what are some of the points or the steps I want to include? And this is my brainstorming, okay? So I'm just role modeling how brainstorming looks, okay? It isn't the whole thing. It's just the quick ideas, okay? So first, you got to pick your fabric, and then you want to measure waist and your length, and then you need to gather, and then you need to make the waistband, and then you need to hem bottom, okay? Those are the big ones, right? So I take that. I'm actually going to see if it'll let me move it over. Hang on a sec. It lets me move it over. I've got it in front of me, and then I can, let me do this. Bring it over here, and then I've got it to do my writing from. Now for you, I would just put it on another, okay, hang on. I would just put it on another piece of paper, and you've got it there to read from, okay? So I need to write my topic sentence. My topic sentence would be something like, have you ever wanted to make a gathered skirt of your own? All right, let me show you how. So this is technically about 2 sentences, but that's fine, okay? And I'm going to want to use those sequence words. First, find a fabric you love. Cotton can be easy to work with, and it is inexpensive compared to other things, right? Then, maybe next, measure your waist and measure how long you want your skirt to be. Add at least, I think here, I'm going to say probably want 2 inches in the bottom and maybe 5 inches on top, at least 7 inches to the length. To the waist, you can double the fabric or do 1.5 times the width of your waist. Cut a rectangle with those measurements. Now, if I was doing this as a sewing demo, I would actually take some time, take some photos, and do some little diagrams, okay? But we're just writing, so I'm not going to worry about that right now, okay? You will need 2 pieces of fabric, same. Now sew the sides together. Gather the top with a running stitch. Actually, you know what? I don't need to gather. Okay. Fold the top over and insert some elastic. Try the skirt on and hem it to the length you want. Finally, you have a great gathered skirt that you made on your own. Okay, so I'm going to point it out. Some of my ideas, I didn't need this idea. After a while, I realized, oh, wait, you know what? If I'm going to do an elastic band, I don't need that. That's fine. I don't need to use all my ideas. The other thing, I would definitely want to go back and make this a little clearer because I think there's some times where I'm a little bit unclear. But also, again, if I was wanting to teach somebody how to do this, I probably would write a much longer sentence. I'm giving you the big steps, but a lot of this could be made longer. You're just giving me the big basics, okay? So don't worry if it's super detailed and if I could actually, go out and fix an engine based on what you said. It's okay. So writing tip. With this kind of paragraph especially, one way to make the paragraphs sound connected and that they flow well is to try and use transition words to help link one sentence to the next. So at the beginning, things like first, at the start, at the beginning, at the introduction. Sentences in the middle, you might use transition words like then, next, after, before, between, in the middle, after a while. Near the end, you might want things like finally, at last, at the end, in conclusion. If you need to use any time words in the middle, you might say things like now, soon, shortly, in a few minutes, after several weeks. All right, those are just words that help people picture the sequence of events. And those kind of words are really helpful for people being able to read your paragraph and understand what's happening. So here is a sample paragraph, okay? They have not put any transition words in here at all. Let's take a look at this and figure out where could we add some transition words to make this sound a little better. So we're going to read it first straight through, and you'll see it sounds a little short and choppy, okay? The transition words really help. It's important to set up a place to do your work. Try to look for a place free from distractions. Find a desk or table. Ensure there's room for a computer if you'll use one. Set up a shelf or box to store your books and supplies. You will need pencils or paper or pens or pencils. Be careful to include things like a pencil sharpener, whiteout, and a ruler. Make sure there's good lighting in the area. Locate a comfortable chair to sit on so that you don't want to move constantly. Consider whether you might want to make a small sign to show others that you are working and don't want to be disturbed. Your area is ready. So let's assume this is my rough copy, okay? So I would photocopy one, keep that to hand in, and then I would start playing around with things. So first of all, I totally forgot to even add a topic sentence. I'm not going to do it right now because we were really talking about transitions, but just so you know. First, and then I'm going to turn this into, take the capital away because it's no longer the beginning of the sentence. First, try to look for a place free from distractions. Next, find a desk or a table. Ensure there's room for a computer for using. That's fine. Then, right? Then is another sequence word. Then set up a shelf or box to store your books and supplies. You will need pens or pencils. Be careful to include things like a pencil sharpener, whiteout, and ruler. That's all fine. That's all happening kind of in the same sequence. After that, you should make sure there's good lighting in this area. Also, you can see when I wrote it the first time, I kind of wrote it like it was a list of commands, and it comes off, like I said, a bit short, choppy. When I'm adding these transition words, it starts to soften it and make it flow a little better. Also, you can locate a comfortable chair to sit in so that you don't want to move constantly. I'm going to add here because you're uncomfortable, because I think that's not really super clear here. Because you are uncomfortable. Finally, consider whether you might want to make a small sign to show others that you are working and don't want to be disturbed. Now, your area is ready. Okay. I wanted to point out too, a lot of people have it in their idea that like doing this good copy is going to take you forever. It doesn't have to. We did that in less than 5 minutes. All we did was just go back through and throw some transition words in. So please, I will be looking for transition words in your paragraph. Take the time to try it. I think this is the hardest part of writing these kind of paragraphs, is the writing your concluding sentence, okay? Usually they just say something like, rewrite the opening sentence in different words. But if you've never seen that done, that might be a little confusing. And I kind of disagree with that statement. I think the concluding sentence often adds in an opinion or a feeling, or it summarizes the content of the paragraph in kind of a slightly different way. So let me give you some examples here. So on this side is the opening sentences, and here's the closing sentences. And you can see they're definitely related, but they're not like word for word the same. So sewing a gathered skirt is easy as long as you follow these simple steps. And then at the end, you could say something like, if you follow these steps, you have a skirt you can be proud to wear. So you can see I added kind of an emotion in there, snuck it in there. Creating a great chocolate cake may sound tricky, but let me show you how I always get a perfect cake every time. You can see now that the hardest part of making this cake is waiting to eat it. So see here, I talked about it being tricky. And then over here, I kind of echoed that by talking about there's a hard part, but it's not what we thought. It's waiting to eat it. So it's still, again, it's still wrapping it up and summarizing it, but it's just doing it in a creative way. So here's what to do if you want a great math lesson. That's your introduction. You can be sure the students understand the math concepts if you followed these steps in your lesson. All right, so these are just some examples so you can see sort of what I was talking about. Now, this is a marking rubric, and it is really for the last 5 assignments. And it is a little bit vague, okay? 0 to 49 is a fail, just so you know. So that means approaching the required level of literacy. Then we have achieving the required level of literacy, 50 to 64, so a D to a C, basically. Then we have exceeding the required level of literacy, which is around a high C or a B, and then significantly exceeding the required level of literacy, 80 to 100. I got to be honest with you, I am not crazy about that rubric, but it's what was sent to you, so I will follow it. Yeah, I may kind of go over some more details tomorrow about that because I just feel like that's a bit vague, but that's what was given to me. Lesson 8. Lesson 8 is about opinions, okay? People read for a lot of the same reasons as they write, and we read to become informed and for entertainment, and sometimes we read to help or persuade us to make choices or decisions and develop opinions. So assignment 25 is called Making a Prediction, and it's about 10 marks. Now, I'm going to read this and then I'm going to apologize. Before you read the next chapter, skim and scan the pages and write down any 5 words that stand out. Beside the words, indicate why they stand out for you. Point form is okay here. Also, you're to use each word in a new sentence of your own. So skimming and scanning is not usually something we would do with a novel. Can you think of a reason why? And that would be because, of course, you'd miss all the fun, right? Usually you're reading for entertainment. If you're just grabbing a word or two, it's not really very entertaining. Based on the words that stood out for you, as well as the title of the chapter, make a prediction as to what the main idea of this chapter is going to be, and your answer should contain at least 3 sentences. And that part's worth 5 marks. All right, now here's my apologies. I had the schedule mixed up as to when we read which chapters, and I kind of accidentally talked about chapter 4 a little bit in our last lesson. I am totally fine with you continuing to hand in this assignment on predicting, even though we kind of already know what happened. However, if you find that bothers you, you can do the same assignment, but just do it with chapter 5. Either way is fine with me. Hang on a second. Oh, hang on. We're going to go back to that. How are predictions a type of opinion? Because they don't seem the same. But here's the thing. We all bring to every book or movie that we encounter our own set of experiences, ideas, and previous movies and books we've enjoyed. And all these differences mean that we may bring very different ideas or opinions as to what might happen next in a story. So, for example, I don't watch a lot of horror movies, so I'm not really aware of horror movie stereotypes or cliches or typical plot lines. So someone who watches them all the time might make very different predictions, probably more accurate than I might, because they've got more experience with the genre. So let's say as you're reading the chapter, you notice these words. And by the way, I just grabbed these words at random. They are not actually out of the chapter. I just tried to grab some words that I thought would be suggestive. Hungover, pregnant, cops, beer, and fight. What are some events you might predict happening in the novel if you saw those 5 words? Well, maybe he drinks some beer, he gets into a fight, maybe the cops are called, the next day he's hungover, maybe a few days later he realizes he got a girl pregnant while he was drunk. So, those words were kind of suggestive. That's what I thought of when I saw those words. And again, I just grabbed them out of nowhere. They aren't based on the novel, okay? Now, here's 5 completely different words. Apologize, sober, changed, hope, determined. Well, what would your predictions be about the story now? Well, it might be very different. Maybe I picture him, being sober for several weeks and realizing that he wants to make a change and he's beginning to feel hope about his future. And maybe he's determined to make things right and he wants to apologize to people. Those words give me a very different picture of what might be happening in that story. So I wanted to grab this. This is really a cute little thing. See if we have a few minutes. And it was little tiny clips of movies and then making predictions based on those little tiny clips. I thought it was kind of cute. I thought maybe we'd give it a try. See what you think. Oh, I don't know why it keeps wanting to do that. Yep, I don't really want to browse. I just want to do what I was doing. Sorry, I'm not sure. It's not my main computer. It's the studio computer. So sometimes it does things a little bit differently than how my computer would do stuff. My apologies. Hang on. We've got a few minutes. We can do this. Okay.
Once everything's perfectly organized, I'll start working on my thesis.
And do we still have? Okay, well, there's no words in the first one anyways, so the words don't really affect anything. It says, what is going to happen? There was just music playing in the background anyways. First video. You can see the moon rising. The little boy's kind of staring at it. Moon seems kind of bigger than life to me. And then for some reason they hand him an anchor. What on earth is the Yankee for? And he looks kind of like confused, like he wants to toss it over the boat. But meanwhile, Dad's actually pulling up a ladder, like a really long ladder, like a crazy long ladder that there's no way it could be in the boat. And then they're both kind of gesturing to him that he should climb the ladder, weirdly with this anchor. So he ties the anchor on. I gotta admit, I myself had some dark thoughts here. Hoped he was gonna be okay, poor little guy. Had some very negative predictions at this point. Looking quite uncertain. Do I get up there? What's the boy gonna do? So what is your prediction? I didn't know, like, why is he got an anchor? Is he gonna jump off? Is something happening and he's gonna like anchor the moon and pull them up there? I didn't know what to think about that one. Okay. And obviously this is fantasy because clearly you can't climb the moon on a ladder, but it's a beautiful little fantasy picture. He kind of gulps and then all of a sudden you can see, oh, he's starting to float. He's floating, his hat's floating, he's floating. But luckily he's got the anchor so he lands on the moon. Cute. And there he is, and he's all safe because his Seamus and his dad safely got him to the moon. Okay, I would never have predicted that. I feel like I've seen this movie. Anyways, you can see a robot trying to fix something. Oh, he's about to fall. Hopefully it's not important. Oh, he grabbed it. It's okay. And then you see a wide vista of space. Ooh, and there's a computer. No, a robot. and it's looking around. It's kind of sad. And there's a smaller ship flying towards a bigger ship. That little robot's still working, trying to fix things. And it says, what is Bernie going to do? Now, I'm not sure, is Bernie the robot that's fixing things, or is Bernie the robot that's flying? So if Bernie is the robot that is flying, I think he's coming to like rescue the robot that's fixing things. That's my guess. Oh, but wait, he's Bernie. He's waving high. Oh no, Spin's flying off. Oh, that's not good. But he can't go get it because he's kind of like on a track there. He's going to wave at Wally. Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that. All right.
This is great! Immerse yourself in a whole new world when you go.
All right, this is from one of the toy stores. I can't remember which one. But anyways, they're reading. Barbie and Ken are there. What are Barbie and Ken going to do? Well, that's what I don't really have to make predictions. They seem to be trying on clothes. My memory is they do, in fact. But this is kind of a cute thing. Oh, wait, no.
Look at that.
They did not try on clothes. They dived into the aquarium. And I have no idea why.
Nice.
Okay. But I could have made that prediction based on what they were wearing. Instead, I kind of went with what I knew about things. All right. I've got time to maybe watch one more tiny little clip and then we'll have to close for the day. Video 4.
Your mission is
Ooh,
to watch
some very scary looking Doberman pinchers talking to a very fat, happy looking dog. And some other dogs that look kind of tough in the background.
Yeah, sure is.
Not sure what they're all planning. He looks really confused.
I will watch the rock.
I don't know. They're all staring at a rock.
Do not try any tricks, for I am
I'm not sure what they think is going to happen with the rock.
I see you, rock.
Okay, so a tiny little rock is rolling towards the big rock.
Do not try
Based
any
on my
tricks,
knowledge
for
of
I am a
cartoons,
great
that big rock is going to
watchdog. I see
fly
you, rock.
and like go, yeah, slide off. Absolutely. In real life, that would never happen. In the cartoon world, that would. Okay. So, going back to things, I just wanted to say, don't give up. I know we're right in the middle of the course. There's so much to do. But you don't want to give up on the dream just because of the time it takes to accomplish it. The time will pass anyway. I know for a lot of you, this is not your first time doing this course. You've done it before and you may have gotten discouraged. Don't get discouraged. Don't give up. Keep on working. Just keep on doing a little tiny bit of assignments every day and hand things in. And you'll be surprised by the end of the year, you will get it done if you just keep on working on it. And it says, doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. And the idea there is sometimes we're so afraid of failing that we don't try at all. Okay. So even if you like finish an assignment and you don't think it's that great, don't worry about it. Hand it in. I'll mark it. If it's not, I'll let you know and I'll let you know what you can do to fix it. Okay. It's better to hand something in, even if you don't think it's amazing, than to just never hand anything in because you're worried that it's just not good enough. Okay. I promise together we can make it good enough. So just don't worry about that. Hand things in. And we're going to keep on going. So I have a lot of students in this class and I only have a few students who've handed things in. So please, if you are out there listening, you need to start finishing some assignments so I can mark them. Okay. Thank you so much for showing up today and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you for listening.